I'm going to call case number 360-541-1112-13. In the interest of, and we're here on two motions to recuse. One to recuse the associate judge in the case, and the second motion is to recuse the district judge in the case. My name is David Evans. I am the presiding judge of the 8th Administrative Judicial Region, and both of the motions have been referred to me under the rules of Texas procedure, and they've both been set for hearing on Zoom. And I am, by virtue of the referrals and the rules of Texas procedure, as well as statutory law, now sitting as the judge, sitting in the 360th, to hear the motions to recuse as the presiding judge of the administrative region. There have been a number of persons who have shown interest in the case and have initially tried to participate by Zoom. The court's policy is that only litigants and witnesses use the Zoom channel, but the court has provided information on the YouTube channel for the 48th District Court and has provided time for all persons that were non-witnesses and non-parties to sign on, do it on the YouTube channel. I believe it has been reported to me by message that we have 8 or 9 spectators viewing on the YouTube channel at this point. I want to thank everyone for being timely and being ready on this matter. I have read the motions and I have read the response. And so at this point, what I'd like to do is tell you that I'd like to hear from the movant in this case, Mr. Villarreal, and hear what you have to offer and hear what your witness has to offer. And then I'll hear from Ms. Williams on her response to the motion. So, Mr. Villarreal, it's your opportunity to speak. And if you can, please do your best to clear up your picture so that we know that you have it. You can assume that I have read all of your motion and that I'm familiar with your arguments. What would you like for Ms. Pike to, you want to have her testify first, or how would you like to proceed, sir? Let me unmute you there and make sure we got you open to the microphone. Go ahead.
Not yet, Your Honor.
I think you're on live. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir. I was responding to your question on Ms. Pike. Not at this time. Not at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Would you like to make your presentation on your motion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
What a busy day, Your Honor. First, Your Honor, I challenge Ms. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yes.
First, Your Honor, I would like to challenge Ms. Williams' presence.
All right, and tell me about that challenge.
I'm not sure why she's here.
She represents Miss Giddings, and she's supposed to be here. So that's under the rules of civil procedure. She's supposed to be here.
Is she here to represent the respondent judges?
No, she represents Ms. Giddings, and Ms. Giddings is entitled to make a response on your motion to recuse the judges.
Could you repeat that, sir?
She is here on behalf of Ms. Giddings, and Ms. Giddings, through her counsel, is allowed to make a response to the motion to recuse the judges.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
I would like to point out that the Texas, let me pull it up, Rules of Procedure 18 it mentions that, where's it at? It mentions that Miss Williams may, but does not have to. Let's see.
Well, I have your contention, and I'm familiar with the rule, and Ms. Williams will be remaining. She is they may respond. She has filed a response, and she has asked for sanctions against you on behalf of Ms. Giddings, and so she's allowed to do so. I would urge you to go ahead and address your motion and make an argument on your motion as to why you believe the judges should be recused and to offer your testimony.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that my point came across, that Miss Williams didn't have to be there.
I have your objection, and I've overruled it. She is permitted to be here. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure.
I would like to notify the court of new evidence that I learned from Ms. Pike.
Okay. What new evidence is that, Mr. Villarreal?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Pike is going through she's going to testify with the prior behaviors of Baca Bennett and her associate Judge Greek, Your Honor.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Villarreal, would you be able to borrow somebody's phone that had a clearer screen so that I could see you? It would help. I think it'd help in the presentation of your case.
Yes, sir. I don't have an additional phone, unfortunately.
I know, but if I gave you time to get an additional phone, would you be able to borrow somebody's phone, or maybe get some phone where we might have a better view of you? It's just very difficult to you're not coming across clearly, and so I just wanted to ask you if that was possible, or if you'd like an opportunity to do that.
Could you repeat that, Your Honor?
What didn't you hear, Mr. Villarreal?
No, I apologize. You're asking if I have access to another phone, correct, sir?
Well, I can't see you, and so I'd like to see you for the hearing, and I'd like to know what it would be able to do to a phone where you could be seen and I could see the room, see you. That's all I'm asking. You said you had water damage, and I'd like you to know if you could borrow, if we recess the hearing and started it tomorrow, if you'd be able to get a phone where we might have a clear picture, and your audio would be improved.
I wouldn't be able to have access to one today, Your Honor. I took off from work early to make the court hearing.
Well, then you go ahead and make your argument, and let's hear your argument. You may proceed with your argument on your motion, sir.
Okay. Now, one moment, Your Honor. I'm checking to see if I'm able to get another phone, but it's not going to be able to be today. I can try and make it to a store.
That's okay, Mr. Villarreal. You can go ahead and make your presentation. And I have a concern that you may have to file a supplemental motion on this new evidence, but I want to hear what the new evidence is, and I do have other hearings scheduled, but please make your argument on this motion, and let's have Ms. Pike sworn and have Ms. Pike testify about what this new evidence is, and then let's see where we go from there, okay?
Okay.
All right, do you have anything you want to say about your motion before we hear evidence from Ms. Pike? Mr. Villarreal, do you have anything you want to say on your motion before we hear from Ms. Pike?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is it? Mr. Villarreal, are you receiving messages from a third party and then repeating that material to me?
I'm going through my notes, Your Honor.
All right. Did you hear my question? Are you communicating with third parties and receiving messages and then repeating that to me?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, well, that's fine. If you are, I just wanted to know because there seems to be some delay.
I'm not sure if it's the water damage, Your Honor.
I understand. And if you want to recess because of your phone, you just need to let me know if you want to recess.
No, sir. That's okay, Your Honor.
All right.
You've read my motions, Your Honor.
I said I had. Yes, I have. I read your original motion and your amended motion.
Okay, so just to be clear, Baca Bennett, let me get it pulled up. Okay, Your Honor. So Baca Bennett has actually done things from the law without authorizations from the law. Did start with the habeas corpus. And also, Ms. Pike has also been in a similar situation. I actually need to call Ms. Pike as a witness, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Pike, are you ready to testify?
Yes, sir. I just want to apologize. I didn't know I'd be called as a witness, and my appearance is not what I would have normally for court. I knew about 10 minutes ago that I would be called on this call. So I want to apologize for that, sir. I did not mean any disrespect.
No problem.
Okay. If I had known, I would have dressed appropriately for court, but I didn't know I'd be called.
I appreciate those comments, and these are unusual times. I'm just interested in getting the testimony and then taking the matter under advisement. If you'd
Absolutely.
raise your hand, please.
Yes, sir.
Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this call, now on trial before this court, will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Absolutely, sir. Anything I say can also be backed by records as well as transcripts. So if there's any question by the courts, I can provide evidence.
All right. And Ms. Williams, I'm going to allow the witness to testify in narrative in order to, and then allow Mr. Villarreal to ask any follow-up questions. What is the evidence you have to offer?
Well, sir, as I said, I was just known about this about 10 minutes ago, just before it started. So I don't know what specifically as pertains to this case. So what kind of information are you specifically looking for? Or do you want me to just testify of what I've seen of Baca Bennett from my own case?
Well, why don't you testify as to what you think Mr. Villarreal asked you to testify about, and because otherwise then I start acting as an attorney on one side or the other. So
no, I understand completely. So
Yeah.
I will speak on my own experience. As I said, I wasn't given any notice of this. I didn't know I was supposed to testify on this, so I don't know what they want me to testify for. But in my own case, Bennett acted as a attorney. She did not act as a judge. She attacked me personally, didn't even let my ex's attorney speak. She silenced my own attorney, would not allow my ex-husband on the bench. In addition, she called in a favor to another judge in another state and forced a fraudulent ex parte order to kidnap my children from the state of Virginia, even though they lived there for over 4 years.
Ms. Williams, I said, you know exactly what I said I was doing.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how this specifically pertains to this case, but I do have lots of evidence to show that Baca Bennett works outside of her judicial position. She does call in favors from judges. She does ask for ex parte orders without any backing that are fraudulent. In my own case, the facts and findings of my case stated by Judge Baca Bennett, her signature's on it. She stated that my children had lived in Texas for over 6 months prior to proceedings, which was an absolute lie, and that I had primary geographical custody, according to our arbitration agreement, which she judicially acknowledged during our case, but then completely ignored. And she attacked me. Like, honestly, that is what she did. She did not work in a position of a judge. She worked in the position of an attorney. And I'd be happy to speak more on that. There's a lot of fraudulent things that happened in my case that Bennett signed herself. As I said, in the facts and findings of my case, she said that my children lived in Texas for 6 months prior to the court case, which is absolutely not true. They've lived in Virginia for over 4 years. So this is a regular thing for her. I have a lot of records and transcripts backing what I say. So I don't know what's happened in Joseph's case, but I wouldn't doubt that she'd do the same thing to him that she did to me.
All right. Mr. Villarreal, what would you like to add to this? Let me unmute you there. You have anything further to add, Mr. Villarreal?
Just a few questions for Ms. Pike, Your Honor.
Sorry, I already silenced it. Yes, sir. I'll answer anything.
Thank you, Sarah. Now, did you ever tell Baca that you lived in Virginia with your children for 4 years, Ms. Pike?
Yes, she was highly aware. In fact, our arbitration agreement backed that claim.
Okay.
In addition, she received records of my children's schooling. She received records of my children's school transcripts. In addition, one of the lies my ex-husband said is that he couldn't find me, yet I was served at my address. So it was a lot of lies that weren't backed by any evidence that Bennett jumped on and then told me I was a kidnapper. Like, she attacked me personally. She didn't even attack me legally. She just went after me personally. It was hard.
Okay. Mr. Villarreal, do you have anything else?
Could you repeat that, Your Honor?
Do you have anything else you want to offer we're a little bit over our time limit because we got started so late. But excuse me, I have this up here for emergencies. But anyway, do you have anything further to add in your presentation?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that?
I had an additional question for Ms. Pike.
Well, I'm going to.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I'm the one that gets to say, okay, Miss Pike.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's
That was
all
on
right.
purpose. I apologize.
That's okay. It's one of those things. All right, I'm going to allow one more question, and then that's it, Mr. Villarreal. Go ahead. What is that?
You said I could proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, what is the question?
Did Baca, Ms. Pike, can you hear me, Ms. Pike?
Yes, sir.
Did Baca detain you in her quarters?
She did. She detained me and told me I was under unlawful arrest until I handed the children over while she issued this fake call to a judge for a fake fraudulent ex parte order. And she told me if I didn't hand over the children immediately, even though it wasn't legal, she would make sure I went to prison and that I wouldn't come out. And then she reclused herself and moved my case to Navarre. So she got a hold of my children, told me I was under arrest without any warrant, and then moved me to another judge and immediately reclused herself.
And what were you doing in her chambers, Ms. Pike?
I was there for a case that I believed was against my ex-husband, but it was fraudulent. They just lied about it. They lied to get me there so they could hold me in their custody.
And that, Mr. Villarreal, I'm going to have to, there's a problem with all of this testimony as being legally relevant on the precise issue of the way you've drafted your motion for recusal. But at this time, I think you've used your time for your presentation. You tell me there's something else you need to present?
Yes, Your Honor. Diane Haddock.
What's that?
Can you hear me okay, Your Honor?
I can, but what's left, Mr. Villarreal? We've gone over the motion. Can you tell me where we are?
I wanted to bring up Diane Haddock.
Well, you didn't plead anything about Diane Haddock in your motion.
She's part of the new information, Your Honor.
Well, you're not, let me just say, Mr. Villarreal, you're not barred from filing other motions based on new information. And probably what I should have said is that you didn't plead anything about Mrs. Pike, but since she had taken the time to be here and I assumed she might have to miss work, I went ahead and listened to it. But my problem, and probably in the ruling, I'll have to say it wasn't in the written motion, and I'm not sure under the law I can consider it, but I did it as a courtesy so that if at a later time it is pled, it can be considered. So is there anything within your motion itself that I can cover?
I can replead my motion, Your Honor, and we can save this for another day.
Well, I'm going to rule on this motion. I'm going to take this motion, and then I'm just telling you the fact that on recusal motions, they have to be presented to the court. I do want to address Ms. Pike. Ms. Pike, I understand, I appreciate, one, you taking the time to be with us today and participate in this matter. And I do have your testimony.
I will say that Bennett genuinely does not follow the law. That's all I can say on that side of things. My children were kidnapped right out of Virginia, which, as you know, is not a Texas jurisdiction.
Right.
So, and she did that.
Right.
Which means she's probably doing it to other parents, which is heartbreaking.
I can understand that viewpoint. Let me just offer this question, this issue to you.
Yes, sir.
I'm not an appellate court, and
The appellate courts have denied all appeals and they won't even sign it. I've received a general appeal for everything and I have all the evidence of what happened. And I don't know what goes on in Tarrant County. Obviously, I'm from Virginia, so I don't have that knowledge. But they wouldn't even take the case. They refused it, everything. They refused reconsideration as well. So there are some people that are on Bennett's side that don't want the truth to be heard. And that's all I can say about it. I don't know who, I don't know how many people are involved, but the fact I couldn't even get an appeal is pretty upsetting. I have filed all the right things.
thank you for participating, and I do appreciate it. Ms.
Absolutely, sir.
Do you want to stand on your pleadings, or do you want to make an argument?
Your Honor, I would like to make an argument if that's okay.
You're right.
Thank you so much. I would like to just kind of reiterate and point out that all of the testimony heard by Ms. Pike was not in relation to the case at hand. It is not in relation to the parties in this case or the subject child. So I would object to her testimony on the basis of relevance.
That objection is not exactly the one that should be made. It's not in the pleadings. That's the problem. Now, testimony of other actions by a judge in a recusal motion, which tend to show bias and prejudice, can be admitted. And so let me be clear about that. What I said is that the pleading requirements, or what I wanted to say, was the pleading requirements in a motion to recuse require specificity. There wasn't any pleading about Ms. Pike's issue or Ms. Haddock or any of those issues. And so at the core of this, like many of us and many other people here, we want to see our judges follow the law. And I'm required to follow the law. And I have a very limited role, and that's what I wanted to explain to Ms. Pike is my role is limited. There's things I can't do if I'm to uphold my oath to the Constitution and to the law. That having been said, is there anything else other in your motion that's not covered in your response, which I have read and taken into account, that I need to consider?
Well, I did plead, Your Honor, in regard to the motions not meeting the grounds for recusal. I would just like to point out that in the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure 18A, there are a list of things that are required to be in a motion for recusal. Verification, which Mr. Villarreal did, he used an unsworn declaration. There's a list of things, and at the end of those it says and so all of those requirements, I believe they're all required to be in a motion for recusal if it was going to be a valid motion for recusal. And specifically number 3, and I did address this in my motion, in my response, but that the recusal request must not be based solely on the judge's rulings in the case. And that is really what I believe that Mr. Villarreal has done, and the reason why he has brought this. And just reiterating what was in the response, that he refuses to participate in hearings and then is very upset about the outcome. So this is absolutely based completely on the rulings that has been rendered in this court, and that's the only basis for his recusal motion. I just would ask that be denied today.
Well, I appreciate it, and I have this matter under advisement at this time, and I will review it and make a decision in this regard, and we'll see what comes of it. And
Your Honor, if I may,
yes, sir. Yes,
there's a footnote to Rule 18, Your Honor.
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. It's not my first recusal hearing, so I've read the rule a few times. I can always be taught something new about it. And yes, Ms. Pike, do you want to say something?
I just had a general question. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but while you're here, why is it that parents are held to this crazy standard, and yet when judges step out of their place or commit felonies, they are not held to the same standard? Why is it so hard for me to get my children back, even though I have all the evidence of everything that's happened? Why is it not used to speak against her character in Joseph's case? Why are parents held to this crazy standard, but those that we elect aren't held to the same standard of law?
Well, I think people are held to the same standard, and I think the standard is you have to follow the law. And I've made no ruling in this matter, Ms. Pike.
I'm just letting you know that in my case,
Ms.
that
Pike,
didn't matter.
Ms. Pike. Remember, I get to speak too.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now, that's a Fed question that you received. And let me just point out to you, I'm aware that how hurtful this whole matter has been to you, but I disagree with you. The law requires certain standards, and those requirements will be met.
They were not met, sir, and I have the
I'm
evidence they were
sorry,
not met.
please do not interrupt me. Please don't. I'm going to let you have the last word. Okay?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's not an easy environment, and this is not a matter that you've been through. I appreciate that. But they will be held to the standard of law. I will act in accordance with the law. Now, go ahead and finish what you'd like to say, and we can go forward from there.
Your Honor, that was my only question. I've spoken with FBI agents that said that they couldn't overturn it, even though the evidence was very apparent against Bennett, that no one would hold them accountable unless it was a national crime. So I'm not quite understanding how judges follow the law in these circumstances when they're caught committing fraud. I'm just trying to understand, sir. I was not trying to disrespect you.
No, you were not disrespectful to me. That was a problem. I just wanted to finish my statement. That was all.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate very much your participation in this and letting us know your viewpoint and letting us know the problems you've had. And I have the matter under advisement, and I'll be back in touch with everybody. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that, sir.
All right. Goodbye.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You bet.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Valdez, you take everybody off. I need to talk with staff first.